All right, welcome back to a family business podcast. If you haven't joined us before, I'm hanging out with Brad, my husband, and PT, my nephew. It's family business because we're all related and we all work together.
That's right.
All makes sense. It all checks.
Does it make sense every day though? I don't know. Some days it doesn't make sense.
Well, that's a podcast that we're not doing right now, but that is a later podcast. We'll talk about that.
About how it doesn't make sense?
No. How it is working as a family.
Right.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Well, everyone still thinks you're our kid.
Yeah. That's a day-to-day basis.
We had that networking thing. We had a cool little our broker networking thing for the agents in our area. And I can't tell you, out of like the 60, 75 people that are there, I think at least half of them walked up to us and said, now your son, how long? I'm like, he's not our son.
Well, I mean, he's a good looking kid, I mean,
what are you going to do?
What can I say?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's a 50-50 chance that, if they aren't fully in the know, that they have no idea.
Right.
Well, you know what? That's funny. So that's today's topic for podcast is things you want to know about us. We posted a little thing and wanted some questions from our audience. And so we've been compiling those for a while now. And so today we're going to open up the secret vault, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Answer all the questions.
The window to our lives. I don't know.
I can't wait. This is going to be fun. Well, the question is, if PT is our son, no, he's not.
There we go.
So there we go.
The hard-hitting questions.
Yeah. Well, PT, I'll let you ask the first one because it's kind of, I guess, about us.
Sure. Yeah, I think people want to know. They see a lot of videos of you all, but I think they want to know who's more competitive at the end of the day, and who, if we aren't, I guess, looking at this the correct way, are we more competitive in everything together, or what does it look like? Who's more competitive, Brad or Andrea?
I think that's a good question, and I believe it's a complicated question, which I'll answer very easily. I really think we're both very competitive. I would say Andrea is probably a little bit more outwardly, and I'm a little bit more inwardly.
Wait, did you just say that you're a introvert? That's a lie.
No.
Just about competitiveness?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that even though I might not outwardly say that I want to win, of course I do.
And I would say actually the most competitive people sometimes, I don't know, I feel like those, if you keep it inside, and I think it drives you a little bit more crazy and competitive. That's just because I feel like I'm the same way at the same point. Like, I don't try to let people see my emotions, but it gets to me sometimes.
Yeah.
I think that I would agree. I think we are equally competitive. I think we're competitive in different ways. That's the best thing. Like when it comes to sports stuff, like, when we used to work out together, we used to do Orange Theory. Yeah,
I'd always win. So, I mean, that got boring after a while.
That's exactly. So when it comes to that kind of stuff, I feel like you're more competitive. I think when it comes to the work stuff, though, I don't know that, competitive. Yeah, I don't know. We're probably equal, which seems crazy, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Would you agree with that?
Rarely say
what
that.
do you
PT,
think,
yes.
PT?
I think you're both very competitive. I experience it in different ways. Brad's very competitive on the golf course, and you have to,
sports.
Yeah, sports, and we're very passionate about that. I think they're very high levels. I think it just depends on the situation and the time of who needs to step up and get the job done at the same time.
I think that I would have to say that if it's something that I'm passionate about, then I'm competitive.
Yeah.
If I'm not, then I just really don't care, right? Like, it doesn't matter what the subject is. If I'm not passionate about it, even if I'm required to do it or not required to do it, if I'm not passionate about it, then I'm not competitive.
Yeah.
So.
I have something kind of interesting that I realized about myself a while ago, is that even if I think that I have reached the top, which I don't think you ever do.
You're not in heaven yet, so no, you have not.
No, I mean at what you do.
Oh, you mean on earth? Okay.
Yeah. I kind of create these stories that probably aren't even true to continue to motivate myself that, somebody doubted me, or, somebody didn't think I was good enough, or somebody this or that. And it just continues to drive me. Or, hey, let's just be 100% transparent. Back when we were in our 20s, like you were PT, or like you are PT.
Like you were.
I remember there were a lot of weeks, a lot of days when, not that we were eating ramen noodles, but I was not in my 20s then. We didn't even marry until we're 30. You were in your early 30s, but we were I mean, that was a stressful time when, you were like, when's the next deal going to come along? But then you realize that it all just takes care of itself with hard work. But that being said, I always go back to those days and I never want to be there again.
I would agree with that statement 100%.
And everybody's got to start somewhere. But yeah.
I apologize for whoever's question that was. That's not about what motivates us. You were asking for who's more competitive, but that is the fear of ever going back to those days or not being able to provide for something. And it's even not so much about ourselves, but like things we've committed to giving things to or doing things for. The fear of not being able to do that motivates me.
Well, and there's always, whether it's it or not, there's always someone working probably harder than you, right? So I think that's something that drives a lot of people as well. Whether it's a made up story or not, it's typically someone's always out there looking to beat you at something.
Yeah, I mean, and what I mean by a made up,
we have a lot of questions.
We always go into this thing though, where to motivate yourself, you almost have to make up those stories that just kind of keeps you going. When quite frankly, most people don't really care.
I'm reading this book, and we have lots of questions, but I'm reading this book, Untethered Soul, and it actually is about that. It's about the little voice inside your head, and like literally, that's you, but you think it's like somebody else, right, but it's your voice. So anyway, we'll talk about that another day.
See, that one question just prompted all those answers.
Bill's got a couple more questions here too. So if you weren't in real estate, what would you be doing? I think I know the answers to this, but I could be wrong.
I'll let Andrea go first.
I honestly am not sure what I mean, like literally, that's not true. If I wasn't in real estate and I really wanted to work even more hours than I currently do, is that possible? I'm not sure. I would probably own my own restaurant or hotel or resort. Like, I think that's what I would probably do. Like, but I don't really want to like have to actively manage it every day. That was my background before I got in real estate, for those who don't know. And I do think there's like this fantasy world that it seems like that'd be so cool, right? To have that. So I think that's what I would be doing. What do you think I'd be doing? Let's see. What did you think?
Well, I have one for Brad. I wasn't sure where you were going to go. I something involved in the community for Andrea was my thought. Know that you've got passions within the community.
So you know what else really I would have done? And I didn't think about this. Christina, my friend, and I, we are opening like the biggest like happy dog resort.
There we go.
We buy like all the commercial buildings and make it massive and we'd have all the dogs. So that's what I'd be doing.
There we go. Brad?
So what's your guess, PT?
There's two things that could be potentially a guess. Would be one, either the band director for the Marching Illini or
Barry Hauser. I'm pretty sure that your job is safe.
Yeah, well, you never know. I mean, but or something involved with the Cubs, a ball boy, on the field or something. I don't know specifically, but something to be involved in the action.
So,
but wait, hold on. Yeah. You know what? This goes back to our podcast last week. Of course, you'd be a band director because we all are going to hang out in Champaign.
Yes, right. Yes, of course. So, all right. So let's go with realistic job. Like what? Probably lawyer. That's what I was going to go into before I went into real estate. But like dream job, yeah. I mean, you're not off PT. I mean, I wouldn't mind, dream job being a general manager or, something like that. And of course, the Cubs would be my dream job. Yes.
There we go.
I thought you'd be a radio, like an announcer for one of those because you do like to do that.
That would be a lot of fun too.
Can you give us your best Gene Honda for those people?
Gene Honda is a public address announcer.
Okay, well, whatever he is, can you give us your best? Come on.
Well, you need to give me
situation. So it's a first down for Illinois.
Well, he's kind of changed that up a little bit, right?
Just do it.
All right. Well, what does he say now? Something ILL now.
We're not going to ruin. Okay, PT, Brad's thinking it up over here. You tell us your dream job.
I was really interested in sports management, something within professional sports as well. Whether that's in sales, I kind of got a inside glimpse of it. But sales, marketing, something with the day-to-day business of a professional sports team. So that interested me, but also you never think that something could take more of your day than real estate, but that business is probably got it beat.
Yeah, and the crazy hours too with it.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that funny? The BOEYES, they're sports and they're real estate.
So you want to hear my ultimate dream?
I can't wait.
To own a sports team.
There we go.
Like
That
the
is
Chicago Cubs.
That is not my ultimate dream. I'm still waiting for Gene
And
Honda.
once again, Tom Ricketts, you're safe. I don't think I have billions of dollars here.
All right. Quick little fire.
We'll go back to the Honda thing here because I've got to think
I know
about how
you'll
he
just
says it
bust it out at some point.
Exactly.
Okay.
It'll come to mind. Guilty pleasures in the downtime, real quick, go around, and then we'll head on to our next question.
I binge watch reality TV. That's literally like if I need to zone out, and people will, when I tell people I watch certain shows like Real Housewives or Below Deck or whatever, some of those Paradise, I don't know, Bachelor in Paradise, people like they like talk about it and they say names and stuff, and I'm like, actually, I don't really know the names of the people. I just literally watch them because it's entertaining and I zone out. So that's my guilty pleasure.
Mine would be watching sports, and I would say that it's relaxes me a lot unless the Cubs are blowing a game or something. But no, but seriously, though, that's the way that I unwind.
Well, I was just going to say, you know, when you think about guilty pleasure, usually pleasure comes with relaxation, but typically my sports teams find a way to take that away from me. So I'll just skip over that. I don't know. It's something where I don't have my phone in my hand, I think is the biggest thing. So wherever I can kind of just soak in the outside world away from the phone is the biggest thing.
Love it.
That's good. All right. Well, that was real fun. Now let's get into some real estate and business questions, guys.
All right.
So Kathy here, she wants to know what's the biggest misconception people have about real estate agents?
That they're like used car salesmen. That there's a lot more that really goes into it. And nothing against car salesmen, because I know a lot of very nice car salesmen that are very good at their job. But it's one of those where a lot of people, most realtors that I know have their clients' best interest at heart. And of course, in every industry, you always have the ones that aren't so great. They're looking out for themselves. But that's what I would say is that the really good agents don't even feel like salespeople. They're more advocates than anything.
Totally agree. I think mine kind of intertwines with that as well. You know, like you mentioned, most agents are doing the correct thing. So I think the biggest misconception are that real estate agents don't answer their phones on Saturdays. I think the majority agents do, if you know what, if you've chosen the right person. So that's the biggest one. And then also
just look at the Illini schedule in the first place. No, I'm joking. I even pick up the phone during that too.
Exactly. And then,
if
you know,
he likes you, just kidding.
And then, you know, we're now on a TV show and we don't have all of our makeup done and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, I was just going to say that would be like number one is that all realtors do is just stick sold signs in the yard and run around and pick up checks. That I think would be it. And that it's
easy.
That it's easy and glamorous. Like, I mean, literally right before this, I was out. We have stagers that stage our properties, but this one was just super unique and needed a little extra attention. So Nikki, our assistant, and I were out moving furniture this morning. So and I didn't think I was going to be doing that, and I'm wearing a dress. So that was super glamorous. So yeah, that's the biggest misconception. Let's see here. Next on the list, if you had to start over in real estate today, what would you do differently?
You want to go first, PT?
I've beaten a dead horse over and over on this question, but taxes. Know how to do your taxes. That's the biggest thing. I mean, it's already hard enough in the beginning when your income isn't as glamorous as you'd hope. So just kind of help yourself out in that realm. Shout out to Real Wallet. I wish that was around right when we had it, because that makes life a ton easier.
Yeah, mine would have been when I was younger to join a team to learn from an experienced agent. And back when I got in the business, just full disclosure, there weren't really teams. Everybody kind of worked on their own. So that would have been a good mentorship and a good way to learn the business.
Yeah, and for me, and I think I probably am beating a dead horse, just like PT. And that's such a horrible statement, by the way. Why do I want to beat a dead horse?
Yeah, why? Yeah.
Whoever thought that
you're
up?
not supposed to. I mean,
okay. So mine would be in the beginning, which it's so hard, and I've talked about this before, but to really spend more time doubling down on the processes, the systems, and really setting up your real estate career as a business and looking at it as a business rather than just trying to get your name out there and get clients and get deals, which is obviously important because that's how you get a paycheck. But I just think that I say this all the time. Once you get busy, you can't get unbusy. You don't ever get that time back. So I think in the beginning, dedicating more time to that so that it would be a little less stressful as we grew.
No,
Okay.
that makes total sense.
How do you balance chasing growth? This is a great question. How do you balance chasing growth with still giving every client a personal experience? Ooh, that's a good one.
Well, speaking from kind of exactly where I'm at currently in my business, it's very tough once you start to build a business and move away from being a realtor, to kind of have that particular balance. And where does that come from, right? That comes from your systems that you put in place. Running your life through your calendar, making sure you have those time blocks off, to touch base with past clients, active clients, all of those intricacies that you have. So have your systems in place, because that's only going to allow you to continue to grow your business as a whole.
I'm going to say we don't balance that well. And I mean that not from the sense of that we're always chasing growth. It's that when it comes to the personal experience of the client, we take that so to heart that what ends up happening is it just sacrifices and takes away from our personal life. Like yesterday is a perfect example of that. I mean, we had, Saturday. We had an agenda for the day, trying to plan for a trip that we have coming up and just some downtime that we needed to plan some things. Well, we had 3 offers come in on 3 new listings. So, the easy route would have been I guess you could just take the offers that came instead of trying, there's obviously a science to the way to best represent your seller and make sure they're getting the best offer they can. And that's probably what it is, right? All of a sudden we look at the clock and we're like, oh my gosh, it's time for the people we have coming over for tonight to watch, of course, the Illini.
ILL.
INI.
So that would be the big thing. I don't think we do a good job of balancing that right now. And it's never been about growth for us. Growth just happens because you're taking care of the client and making it a personal experience.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And that is one of the things that we've always kind of struggled with, in terms of our main priority is always making sure that the client's always taken care of, regardless of what's going on in our life, which can be good and bad too, right?
For sure.
But that's always happened. Now we do have a lot of systems in place that we have tried, that some have worked, some have not. And it's not necessarily the systems, it's the person that's talking that may not use them all the time. And if I use them more often, it would probably create a little bit better of a balance. That it seems like it's so tedious doing it when you're in action, but when you don't do it, that just creates more work later, which I think I've heard that phrase before.
Yeah, for sure.
No doubt. Another question that comes in too, what is the toughest part of running a family business?
I don't necessarily really think it's that tough. I mean, I really don't, but probably the toughest part is just having the open, honest conversations at times. And what I mean by that is that, and even with your wife too, sometimes, like, there's a marriage, there's all the rest of that. And how you talk to your wife may be different than how you talk to your coworker, right? And it's just meshing all of that, and making sure that, everybody's happy, but we also have to get a job done as well.
PT?
I believe that it's harder to enter, and actually, I think that's the hardest step is figuring out, essentially what Brad just mentioned, how do you work as a coworker, aside from an uncle or a nephew or husband, wife, and just figuring out those dynamics. And your day-to-day business looks completely different than your day-to-day in a personal relationship. So just understanding how communication really improves just the well-being of the relationship, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I will say, those of you that have ever looked at going into something like this, there are a lot of benefits too, that you have that instant trust, that that you can trust your relative too. So that's
usually
a pro? Well, is there something that in this situation?
No, in this situation, 100%, 1,000%, we trust each other. I would say the toughest part of running a family business, and this goes back to being a husband and wife and all that, is like, you normally, like, if you go to a family gathering, you're away from your work, right? For us, it's always there. You know, we'll find ourselves at something family related, and we just can't help but discuss something that's going on, right, in our business. And likewise for as a husband and wife, you know, we, generally speaking, our conversations are about our real estate.
Well,
business.
that was one of the deals about last night that I really enjoyed, was we really didn't talk about business at all, which was kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, I just was on the couch doing business while you guys were all. That's why.
So you exactly from it.
It was family BOEYE dinner. Anybody.
And everybody's just, you know, they're just curious too, and so you really can't escape.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're trying to be rude. I mean, those are valid questions.
All right. How do you see real estate changing in the next 5 years in the local Quad City area?
So being around for 25 years in the business.
Wait, how many years have you been around, Brad?
25. I can tell you that the Quad Cities is stable, which I've always loved that about it, and great job market, great companies around here. And you never know what can happen, but as of now, how it looks is that the job market's going to be very, very good around here, which obviously helps out the real estate market. I mean, you have companies like John Deere, Arconic, you have the Rock Island Arsenal, just to name three of the top employers. They're all very good companies. One's government run, of course, the Arsenal. But the rest of them are very well-run companies that are going to be around a really, really long time.
I don't know if I necessarily see it changing. I think I've already seen the change happening in Quad City's real estate market from what I would say the last 5 years, the pre-COVID era, right? Yeah. We're in the post-COVID era. And what I see changing is definitely, it's more of the going back to basics. It's just definitely more of a relationship-based business again, and a Quad City, like local, like people want to be hyper local with the people. They want to work with people that live, work, play, spend their money here. And you know, that's a cool thing.
Totally agree.
What I'm interested to see is what actually physically the Quad Cities looks like, right?
Yeah.
Over the past 10 years, we've built a new bridge, and there's talks of potentially 1 or 2 new bridges. The growth in Bettendorf and what happens when we get to I-80 and where do we go from there? So I believe that there's a ton of just physical changes that are going to probably happen within the next 5 years. I mean, every time that you go out to the Betplex here in Bettendorf, there's a new building up. So it's exciting, and just to see what those particular items do for the Quad Cities will shape for the next 20 years of what our area looks like. So that's what I'm excited, is the physical activity going on in the area.
That's true. I lived in Dallas for a few years out of college, and when I came back, 53rd Street happened, because before I left, it was Kimberly Road. That was as far north as it went. It was all gravel roads. So, all right, well, that was great. Well, let's get into some family stuff, family and legacy. So, and I'm going to really just leave these to Brad and PT, because whoever asked this question, I'm married into the BOEYE family. I am not technically a 3rd or a 4th generation BOEYE. If I was, that'd be a little awkward since we're married, Brad.
Yeah, that'd be
so
very strange.
Mike wants to know what it's like being a 3rd and 4th generation BOEYE in real estate.
Well, I can tell you, I'll start, and then you
came first.
So the old adage goes that the original generation builds it, the second generation makes it a lot better, and the 3rd generation ruins it. And I'm proud to say that we didn't ruin it. So in my opinion, I really think that we've maintained it and made it a little bit more modern with the times, as my dad did when he took over for my grandmother. And I really think we are in the process of building up PT to be able to take this all over on his own at some point. So, yeah, I mean, not to sound, this sounds really arrogant, but I really think that we have been able to maintain it.
Well, that's because you hired me, and well, I'm sorry, you married me.
Hired.
I'm just kidding.
Hired. Oh goodness.
Oh boy.
PT.
What are we gonna do? Oh boy. What is it like to be a 4th generation? the word that comes to mind is identify, right? I've got the same name as my father and grandfather. And, there's parts of with being in a family business where you sometimes are thought to be related to somebody somehow in some way. And so building relationships, making sure that one, yes, the name carries a lot of weight, but understanding specifically who PT is and how that works. It's a blessing to not only carry your first name and last name in one particular area. So just having that allows you to just stay motivated and continue on what has been created in the past, which is extremely, extremely cool.
All right. So again, I feel like this is just a section that's just for Brad and PT here. So what lessons from previous generations do you still use today? PT?
The biggest thing that comes to mind, there's two things. I've always heard amazing stories of my great grandmother and the wall breaking down she had to do to enter the industry as a woman, and just what it takes and what the drive is to be successful in the industry, with also the customer service that was installed with it as well, right? So the customer, the consumer, our clients are who makes us who we are, right? At the end of the day, that's the biggest thing that I take away from that. And as Brad mentioned in the previous question, generation to generation, you have to find a way to evolve and stay with the times and with the market. It blows my mind that 5 years ago there was still the old green I-74 bridge, but that just tells you how quickly things change and the importance of staying in front of the ever-changing times.
Yeah, I would say lessons. The biggest deal is integrity. Is one of the things that I was taught at a very young age. And having the last name, I mean, there's an expectation that luckily my grandmother and my dad were successful. They really did a good job in the business and were able to build a large company. And that really, if you look at it, like I always joke, the third generation kind of tears it down. And that was one of the things that I was going to make sure did not happen, that we were going to make this as good or even a little bit better. And I say better technology wise. I mean, we're always trying to advance. But the other thing that I learned as a young kid, my dad was a great example of giving back too. That was something that my grandparents, my grandma and Grandpa Bowie did a lot was they gave back to the Quad Cities, as well as my Uncle Bob and my brother Price as well, who is, those of you that don't know, is really PT's dad. So it was one of those where they were all great examples of what to do, and the only challenge was just doing it.
All right. How do you make space for family traditions like going to your lake while running a business that never really stops? And it's interesting. So it's like a balancing act, I would say, right? Like, I mean, there are sacrifices to that. I mean, for example, this summer, I mean, we have our dedicated time that we always spend at the lake, and we know that ahead of time. And normally PT comes up for part of that. And this year, just the way it ended up working out, we were just too busy. And we, your dad, Brad's dad comes up, and, my family and whatnot. So, I mean, it was just one of those things where unfortunately that didn't happen the way we planned it. But, Brad and PT go to some sports games with, dad and grandpa, and then they leave everything to me. Thank God I have Nikki now, but
that definitely does help.
I mean, it's just, the negative is when Brad and I go on vacation, like we're planning a trip here, we're taking a trip of a lifetime here in a week or so when this airs, will probably already happen. But that's interesting because when we're both gone, we're lucky that we have PT who is, doing this with us and continuing, and Nikki, and also our awesome group at Buy Sell Build QC. Because previously, I mean, in our previous broker, the way things were set up, I mean, I don't think we could have done the trip we're about to do. So I think it's hard, but you can do it. You just really have to trust. It goes back to trust.
I really think that's one of the things we've been working on here over the last year is, we used to have a job and we're trying to build a business. And we're lucky now that when we go out of town that we have, like you just said, Andrea, we've got PT, we've got Nikki, or even when you're out of town, PT, that that you always have us and you always have Nikki. And so that really helps out a lot when that when you're out of town that the quality of service is not going to drop.
Right. And that goes back to what we harp on all the time, right? Is, the benefit of having a team or having people around you where you trust in them to handle something where, you deserve to have some personal time in your life. Right. So being able to do that just allows you to take a step away and actually be with the people that are important in your life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, this is crazy one. Whoever sent this in, what do you hope the fifth generation someday remembers about how you built this? Wow. I mean, literally like reading that out loud almost makes me want to cry. Can you guys imagine if there's a fifth generation BOEYE?
Yikes.
Yeah, that doesn't happen much in any business.
It's going to happen though. It's going to happen. Yep. They're going to listen to this podcast someday. So what do we hope they remember about how we built this?
My hope is that they would remember that we did it the right way and we were able to continue what grandma built.
And the coolest thing for me has been able to not only hear stories, but see pictures and read newspaper clippings and just the physical attachment to somebody that I never met, right, is so powerful. And so being able to snapshot and keep those memories for potentially a fifth generation down the road, I believe is something that probably goes over a lot of people's heads quite a bit. But understanding that take a photo once in a while, take a video, get involved. And the more you do that and build the relationships, the coolest thing in the world is just being out randomly and you meet somebody and they're like, oh, I know your grandpa, or I know your dad, or I know your uncle. They're great people. That's what you want, right?
Yeah, 100%. And the only thing I would add to that is echoing very much. I mean, it's exactly what you both said, but just wrapping it up is like, I just remember this is like, I mean, I call it the BOEYE way, right? And I've talked about this and like we did kind of a little video history. It's on our link tree, but there's no gray area when it comes to the way that your dad, your grandma, and everybody, it's either black or white, it's right or it's wrong. And you always do the right thing if that's what needs to happen to take care of your client. I mean, if it costs you money, if it whatever, use it as a learning experience, but you always do the right thing. And I hope that the fifth generation, I hope that happens. And I hope that they remember that, because that's how that will continue to the sixth and on, which is just crazy to think about. All right. So before we wrap up, let's end on some fun and storytelling things here. It looks like we have some interesting questions. What's the funniest or most unexpected thing that ever happened during a showing?
I got to think of something I haven't said before.
I know
because we've shared some good ones before. The worst thing for me, potentially, if there's not electricity in a house or something like that, and you don't see a mirror on the corner, and it's just a little eerie in the house sometimes, and and then you see that mirror and you see yourself in it. Sometimes it gives you a little bit of a jump scare. So that's kind of like the unexpected. Sometimes I don't appreciate. Not that funny.
Funniest.
Or most unexpected.
Well, there's always
this person obviously didn't listen to the podcast we did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
because we talked about a lot of this.
Yeah, there's always ones with dogs, and there's always ones with people that don't expect you to walk into the front door.
Or a school bus.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones there. The most unexpected is when you go to a house in the winter and there's no power on. That's like, and then you're thinking, I need to call the agent right away to make sure the pipes aren't burst. And it's a little creepy, like those January nights where it's dark out early and dreary, and then there's no power in the house.
I would have to say, I was thinking the one with the naked man. I mean, that nothing will top that. If you want to hear about the naked man, go back and listen to the podcast a couple podcasts ago.
I try not to think about it,
but that one wins. But I would agree, if you go up to a house and the front door is not all the way locked, That's the freakiest thing for me if it's a vacant house. So I would have to say that that's the most unexpected thing when you walk up and the front door is not locked and there's nobody that's supposed to be there. Like,
can I tell this story about the agent that showed a house right across the street from us, and he opened the door and he left?
Oh my gosh, we did not tell that story yet.
And we called and we said,
we lived kitty corner from this house.
You let the buyer into the house and you left. He goes, oh yeah, he said I had to go home and like grab something.
No, he didn't. He was just, he didn't even let the buyer in. We watched him pull up, unlock the key safe, unlock the door, and then he left. And about 2 minutes later, his buyers pull up. And the reason why we knew this, yes, we live kitty corner from this house, but also the sellers happened to be across the street at a friend's house because we were all close in this little neighborhood. And they saw it happen and they messaged us. They're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Realtors don't do that.
Well, I mean, now in these days, you can't get away with
no
Ring cameras.
That's exactly right.
Oh, goodness. Okay, if your dogs, Ivy Grace and Ivy May, could talk, what would they say about living in a real estate family?
What is wrong with you people? No, I mean, if you think about a dog, you know, I mean, I can't get in a dog's brain, but they like routines, right? And when you're in a real estate family, there is zero routine. So they're probably like, where are you going now?
Yeah, I would have to say that. I was going to say exactly that same thing. Like, we'll get in like phases where we have our routine, you know, and we're able to stick with it for a while because we really try. And then we get out of it. And like the two of them are like, excuse me, it is 7:00 and I have not left for my walk yet. What are you two in the shower for? Like, not together, but, or they would also say, can you guys just put your phone down and pet me, please? Enough's enough.
Yep. Oh, goodness.
What's the
what's the hardest deal you've ever had, and how did it finally come together?
Oh my.
I've had a lot of these.
This one is just far too recent.
Yeah, I just had one just a few days ago where divorce situation, husband and wife did not get along whatsoever, and even had to go to court to testify a couple of times. And we basically had to run the transaction through the court system, which was a new one for me that I've not had it be quite like that before. But it was a learning experience, and it just made me realize, you know, how lucky I am to like have a great relationship. Number one, number two. That life's, you know, at times it's very messy for some people, and you know, we ended up getting through it, even though the closing was 2.5 hours. PT,
how long was it? PT covered the closing for us. 3?
No, it was about 2.5.
Yeah.
Okay. You know. So not our longest one.
It was a long one, but you know what? Like everything gets taken care of at some point in life, and it happens exactly when it's supposed to.
Well, and here's the thing too. So I mean, they're like, you know, you get to the point where everyone kind of sits there, you run out of things to talk about, and you know, you kind of, you know, everyone's worst situation comes into mind, right? And you know, the buyers say, "Oh, you guys can leave." You know, it is what it is. I'm like, no, I'm just going to stick it out with you, and you know, hope that this works out. And I've got nowhere to go, so let's just sit here and see what happens. And that's all part of what we talk about,
right? And I think the same one that comes to mind for me is one that was also a divorce situation. And I remember we went to the closing table with our buyers, who was like 6 months pregnant. Remember that?
Yeah.
And didn't know if the seller was going to show up, and he ended up showing up because his attorney called him and basically said, "You think you have problems now, dude? You don't show up for this closing, you're going to have bigger problems."
Really
but wow, I mean, it was not fun. That was part. All right, so we're going to close things out. We're going to leave all you listeners with a couple final thoughts, and maybe next time you can get in on the questions, because I'm sure we'll do another one of these. This was kind of fun, don't you guys think?
Yeah.
So if you could give agents one piece of advice right now, this minute, middle, whatever, fall, Q4 of 2025, what would it be? Just one piece of advice.
I'm going to say, and this is just a general piece of advice, and it doesn't matter what the market is like, do what you say you are going to do.
Mine is going to be pick 10 people you haven't reached out to in a while. It's probably going to come from your sphere, but either give them a call or write them handwritten letters.
I love that one. Mine is going to be and this is going to be crazy because it's kind of opposite of what you guys said. Well, not really, but I think you should take one hour a day. Just block it out on your calendar. I don't care if it's morning, midday, night, whatever. 1 hour a day. Put your phone away. Get off social media. Get off the TV, and just, I don't care. Go for a walk. Sit on your porch. Take a nap. Daydream looking at a golf course. I don't care. But just take 60 minutes. Let's say a couple times a week. I don't know if you can do it for a whole day, but just try. Maybe start with a half hour. That's my piece of advice.
I think that sounds great.
All right. Is that it? It's a wrap. All right. Well, thanks. So. We love the questions. DM any other ones you want to hear us talk about, and we'll do them on a future podcast. Peace.
Peace.
Peace out.